Another poll showing Americans' dissatisfaction with Washington. The New York Times reporting that 75% of Americans think Congress is ineffective. So why can't Congress get anything done? Is it hurting Americans? That's the question we're asking today. Let's ask Mark Penn, who served as a White House pollster during the Clinton administration. We also have Anthony Hallam, Republican strategist, and also joining us is Chief Washington correspondent John Harwood. Mark, let me start with you because these numbers are pretty staggering. 75% disapprove of the way Congress is handling the job. 56% want a smaller government. Do you think Washington's getting the message?
Well, I think it's a pretty strong message in this poll. I think no party or government institution would be happy with this poll. In fact, if you look at it, it's got a record high number of independents from, I think, as far back as I could find that the poll was reporting. It's got high dissatisfaction, a grumpy mood about the economy, a real concern about Washington and gridlock, real concern about the deficit. Across the board, this is a very, very tough poll with a strong message.
Anthony, as per what Mark is saying, and I thank you, Mark, for your objective analysis, look, my argument here is Washington is selling what the rest of the country doesn't want. They're selling bigger government, a lot of either current or threatened higher tax increases, a lot of spending, a lot of borrowing, a lot of debt. I mean, it is a product that the rest of the country is utterly rejecting, Anthony, and I want to know what happens next. How is this going to translate? Will there be change in Washington? Will Obama go Bill Clinton and go to the middle? Or is there just going to be a total rout come November?
Well, it's a combination thereof. President Obama will go toward the middle, at least in his communications, but not in his policy, and you're seeing that. In this poll, it already shows that more people believe President Obama is trying to work with Republicans in the other direction. We, of course, know that that's false. There will likely be a very significant rout, and we've seen that with two gubernatorials, one of them quite shocking, when President Obama's favorables were much higher. And then, of course, we have Massachusetts, which is stunning on its face. So Republicans are well positioned, but moving forward, they're going to have to advance ideas that are better than Democrats, not just block something. President Obama and the Democrats have been incredibly effective, actually, on framing the choice, and health care is the best example. What happened at health care? President Obama invited all the insurance companies to the White House before he created the debate, met with them. They just capitulated and said, we know we've lost, we'll give you everything. He came out and he framed the choices. He said, guys, America, do you prefer protecting the insurance companies or supplying health care to all? We have got to do a better job framing the debate between, for example, who do you want to tend to your child's welfare? The father choosing the doctor or the government? So John, a lot's going to change.
Okay, John, I mean, it's clear that the dissatisfaction is with everyone in Washington, both parties, everyone that's there, for sure. Is Washington getting the message as someone who's there talking to people? I mean, do they get the message or are they explaining it away?
Oh, yes. Look, they get the message, and it is going to be a rout, I believe, for Republicans in the fall election, but it's not because, as Larry asserted, the Congress is offering things the American people don't want. Defining what the American people want at any given time is a pretty elusive task, as Mark Penn can testify. What the American people want is very low taxes and very high levels of services. Those are hard to reconcile. That's why we've got a big long-term budget deficit.
56% want smaller government.
That's
pretty
right.
Clear.
John Harwood, I think.
I
think you missed it.
Hold on, guys.
John Harwood, you look at poll after poll shows almost 60% want smaller government and fewer services.
It was a direct question, John.
I beg your pardon.
Your
the Washington Post poll shows that. The Wall Street Journal poll shows that. The New York Times poll shows that.
Hey, Larry,
John,
they want smaller government. Hold on a second. They want smaller government until you try to cut Medicare and Medicaid, as Newt Gingrich and the Republican Congress tried to do in 1994. Ask Mark Penn what happened when they tried that.
John Harwood, you have been beltwayized on that point. I do not think that is the case. Look, Mark Penn, again, I go back to...
Ask Mark Penn what happened when the Republicans tried to do that.
I don't, Mark Penn.
Go ahead, Mark.
Go ahead. You answer the question.
I think John's absolutely right. The American public wants it all. They want an efficient government that provides Medicare, Medicaid, education, and environmental protection. And I think when Newt Gingrich took things too far the other way, essentially, the Clinton administration
had major spending reductions. Newt Gingrich may have gone too far in his rhetoric, but you look what happened with Bill Clinton and the Gingrich Congress. You had major spending reductions in the baseline. And my point is, look, you can jump to the entitlements, okay? Everybody loves to jump, oh, we'll never solve entitlements. Maybe that's true. But the rest of the government, I mean, Anthony, let me ask you this. Employee salaries, government union employee salaries and benefits is becoming an absolute disgrace. These departments have not taken any budget cuts across the board.
Please.
That is a disgrace.
Larry,
and that's what people are talking about. They see layoffs in their private businesses. They don't see any layoffs in government. Anthony, I think that's why they call for fewer services.
Larry, you're spot on. This is fundamentally about jobs, just like any other election, period. And this survey, this poll that's being released is talking about Wall Street and President Bush, but neither of which are on the ballot. It's going to be Democrats versus Republicans. And guess what? There's a fresh-faced new crop of Republicans who are also concerned with Wall Street. But fundamentally, just like any other election, and what Americans want more than anything is employment, an opportunity to create value for their family and jobs.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, but
Hey, Larry,
it's
unequivocally jobs-driven. 10% unemployment.
Year.
John.
It was government.
Hey,
government jobs went up
Larry,
by 35, 45,000, while private sector jobs went down. People are furious at that, and the benefits and salaries are like 3 times the average of the private sector.
Ready, John, go.
I'm sorry, John.
Hey,
Go
Larry,
ahead.
how did it work out when President Bush and some of the Republicans in Congress tried to partially privatize Social Security?
So I'm sorry. The producer was in my ear. John Howard, please
How did it
repeat
work out when President Bush tried to partially privatize Social Security and shrink government that way?
Listen.
Look, President
Not
Bush
too
isn't
good,
on
huh?
the ballot, guys. President Bush is not on the ballot.
I want to answer that. He couldn't put it together. I agree with you, John Howard. But, John, you got to understand, it isn't just about the entitlements. It's about the size of government. It's about the size of government payrolls and employees. I beg your pardon.
That's a direct question in the
poll
poll.
after poll shows
Yes,
that people are so annoyed at the increase in the employment level of government and the militancy of government unions regarding their benefits as well as their compensation. You look
About
at
10% unemployment, Larry.
What's coming out of the Cato Institute and the Heritage Foundation and other places? Total compensation in the public union sector, which is growing, is $125,000 a year. Total compensation, benefits plus compensation in the private sector, is $46,000 a year. And as those numbers circulate, there is a public furor over that. A furor, John. I'm telling you, it's not just about entitlements.
And this president says 125 is rich.
And 125.
Thanks for joining us.
By the way, what about
All
this
of you.
issue? Hang on a second. Mark Penn. Mark Penn, your guy wants middle-class tax hikes are coming. You see the Business Week interview, Mark? Obama agnostic, won't prejudge tax increases for the middle class. What's going to happen there, my friend?
Look, this poll shows Democrats doing better than Republicans, the public upset about unemployment, the public upset about the deficit, and this situation has not played itself out. So tune in this year.
Virginia,
Thanks to
Massachusetts,
all of you for joining us.
New Jersey.
I'm pulling the plug on this whole thing. I don't know if Trish is still there.